I am going to compare the performance of the latest version of React.js and Vue.js available at the time of this recording. I created the exact same create, read, update, delete over a network or CRUD application using these two very popular libraries. They both use Vite headless UI, Tailwind CSS, Biome for linting and for formatting, and TypeScript in development environment. Both apps are calling the exact same remote API, the same endpoints, and the same resources on those endpoints. I am also using a state management library in both apps. Now, you may have noticed that on the React side, I'm using Redux Toolkit. Some of you might be asking, why not use something lighter? Don't worry, I have you covered. I also created a version using Zustand or Zustand in American. And then there are those who say, how come you didn't create one using Jotai? Well, it's because I only have so much time during the day. On the Vue.js side, the choice is easy. The Vue.js team recommends Pinia or Pinia if you speak American. Vuex is no longer recommended. All three of these state management libraries do a great job, but they do have slightly different philosophy. So keep that in mind. In terms of the code, I only did what was necessary to fulfill the CRUD functionality. Nothing less and nothing more. I did my best to keep the amount of dependencies even on both sides. But as you all know, React and Vue does handle dependencies slightly differently. On the React side, as you can see, there are a few more dependencies, but this is the minimum amount of dependencies that I need to have in order to match what's on the Vue.js side. Before we jump into the user interface to look at the app, I do want to let you know that I have a GitHub repo for you containing all three versions of the applications, along with the report in PDF format of the result of my testing. The link will be in the description. As you can see, I'm using PNPM in this project. For both the React application and the Vue application, you can just run PNPM build and it'll build the project for you. In my case, I've aliased the PNPM, which is PN, in my zh.rc file for less typing. After you build, you can just run pnpxserve, the disk folder that was generated after you ran the build command. Again, in my case, I've aliased the PNPM shorthand to just PN, and then it serves the application. So here's the application. It does have pagination. You can view individual ones, edit. You can see the result there. You can delete. You can add new product. There's our product there. You can search. And the React Redux application behaves exactly the same way as is the Vue with Pinia, Vue 3 with Pinia. The only difference between the React app and the React apps and the Vue app is that I've changed the color a little bit, but it's using the exact same CSS library and Tailwind CSS. It's a headless UI, exact same amount of styling. So let's compare React Redux Toolkit with Vue and Pinia. You guys already know that React with the Redux Toolkit is going to be heavier than Vue, right? So this run is the best of three, which I did off screen, so you don't have to sit there and watch me refresh the screen. but this is the best time that um, React Redux Toolkit achieve. And then with Vue and Pinia, best of three, this is its best time. This is not unexpected. We'll do Lighthouse next. This is my settings for Lighthouse. Again, multiple runs off screen. Now, I did not optimize any of these applications. I accepted for what it was straight out of the box. I'm using the exact same CSS library, UI library for all the apps. One caveat, though, is that even with the 100% accessibility score, you would still want to do the wave check on this. Here, I'll show you what I mean. For accessibility checking, you can install the Wave tool, which is a free Chrome extension. It also works with Firefox and other browsers as well. But even though with the Lighthouse it shows 100% accessibility score, there's still an error here. And the wonderful thing about this free Wave tool is that if you slide up the code there and you click on the error, it'll show you where the error is for accessibility checking. And here's the Lighthouse score for the Vue with Pinia application. And here's the network tap run with React and Zustand, lighter than Redux Toolkit, as you can see there. And then here's a Lighthouse score for React and Zustand. So the next test is more time consuming. I go to the performance tab and then I type in phone up here to test the debounce, because I do have debouncing on the search box for all three applications. And I'm going to do that with multiple runs. So I'll do that off screen and give you the results. And as you can well imagine, Vue with Pinia is going to beat the heavier React 19 with the Redux toolkit. But where React 19 really gains ground against Vue is if it's using Zustand as its state machine. Again, I have all three applications push up to my GitHub repo. The link to the GitHub repo will be in the description of the video. You guys can pull it down, test it yourself, make any adjustment that you need, and have a good time with it. For what it's worth, I've worked with the three major front-end libraries, all versions of Angular, React, and Vue. I actually started working with React when I was with Facebook, when I was working for Facebook a long time ago. The React that we use internally at that time doesn't look anything like this. Um, and I have to admit, even though I have a lot of time working with React, all versions, React is immensely popular. Uh, the nice thing about React is that you can do web app and you can do native mobile app with React Native, and you can share some of the components using Expo or something like that. But I have to say, though, I do enjoy the ergonomics of Vue, especially Vue 3 with TypeScript. Its pattern, to my brain, is very nice. Both of these libraries have a lot of usage around the world, so you can easily train your AI model, or you can use an existing AI model to develop features for you, of course, with human oversights and guardrails. And I've mentioned this in my other videos, but if you are using Claude Code or some sort of AI coding tool, whichever library you use, Angular, React, Vue, it doesn't matter, make sure that when it's developing features for you and it's putting in these NPM library packages, make sure that it is not pulling in versions of these dependencies that has a vulnerability in it. Because I've seen that happen before, even with guardrails, even with the best coding model like Claude Code Opus 4.7. I've seen Opus 4.7 pull in an NPM package that has a CVE, that has a critical security vulnerability in it. And when the developer that was using it decided not to go with that particular version, Claude Code did not remove the dangerous NPM package. Well, thank you for watching, my dear friends. If you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing to my channel. It is completely free. Give this video a thumbs up. Again, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye for now.